Welcome back, guys, to the Joe Khamou Show here. Got a very special guest, UFC veteran, and he's been at it for a long time. One of the best to do it, Mike Quick. I hope I got the nickname right. Mike the Quick
Easy.
Swick.
Yeah, that's it. That's
It's Mike
correct.
Swick. Okay, Mike the Quick Swick. It rhymes. So how did you come up with that name? Did that just, I heard it was because of you're an amazing fighter, amazing puncher. You had the speed, and that name just kind of gravitated, it just fell on you, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just always fought to win the fight as fast as possible. It was very aggressive. And I had like a 20-second victory before the UFC. And then I got in the UFC and I had my first fight was like 20 seconds again. And then my second fight was 22 seconds in the UFC. So after the second fight, Joe Rogan announced me as the winner. And then I think Mike Goldberg said, no, that would be Mike Quick Swick. And it was the greatest thing ever because like I was just getting in the UFC trying to build my name and like taking on this whole like being kind of famous kind of thing, after getting on the Ultimate Fighter, being in the UFC, having a couple wins. And I was just getting tons of people coming up to me that were just like, hey, Mike Swack, I'm your biggest fan ever or whatever. And they could never say my name. Like nobody could say my last name, Swick. So when Joe or Mike Goldberg said Quick Swick, it's like that made it to where no one's ever messed up since then. So it's like, it really made me, at least my ego, feel a little bit better when people came up to me. But yeah, Mike Goldberg actually coined that name. And then I went on to win two more quick fights and then won another one later on. So it just kind of stuck and people just kept with it. And still to this day, I just posted the cancer post and it's all the comments are like Quick Swick and now like Thick Swick because like I'm bigger than I was obviously when I had the cancer. I lost
Right.
51 pounds or something, 50 pounds. And so yeah, it still stays there, just like the Swickatine. The fans don't forget for sure.
So much I want to talk about. I want to talk a little bit about your battles in the UFC. I want to talk about your battle against cancer. And that's where I really gravitate to me because not only were you a fighter in the ring, you're a fighter in real life fighting cancer. I really want to talk about that. Deep dive into some old school stuff. I mean, I used to watch MMA a lot back in the Chuck Liddell days, Rich Franklin days. I kind of miss those days. I really want to talk about kind of how UFC was back then and kind of compared to how it is now. There's so much to uncover here. I guess first and foremost, I kind of want to start with like, your UFC career. I think it started with the Ultimate Fighter. And where was that moment that, everything shifted from just being not an average guy, but just a fighter. And then your life transformed and you became a big UFC fighter. Was it the Ultimate Fighter that really was that, that kind of, launched you into success? That show? Was it the show?
The show launched us into fame, not success. And what it did was it put a target on our back big time. So we were very hated amongst the MMA community, well, amongst the UFC community,
Right.
because we were looked upon as these TV guys that didn't deserve to be in the UFC. When you look back, it's quite shocking because we were some of the most qualified fighters of all the seasons. When you look at Stephen Bonner fighting Jungle Fight and all the fights that Forrest Griffin had, and then you look at Diego Sanchez, and you look at, all these guys, Koscheck's wrestling pedigree, and Chris Lieben, you look at these guys, and we were some of the most experienced fighters that's ever been on Ultimate Fighter. But at the time, they looked at us like we were getting a shoe in for the UFC, and we didn't deserve to be there. So we had a chip on our shoulders getting in, and that's why I fought hard as I could because I wanted to win fights as fast as possible, make a name for myself, and not have to go back to work. But yeah, we all had a chip on our shoulders to try to kind of prove ourselves, and that's why I think a lot of us made big splashes when we first got in the UFC is because we had that fury. We had that taste of fame, so that was big. We had to see what it was like to be a fighter of a higher pedigree that's been in the UFC, even though we weren't. So we got that taste in our mouth. We knew we still had to earn it, and we knew we still had the opportunity to earn it. And so it was just like everyone threw caution to the wind and just went for it. And that Ultimate Fighter finale was just absolutely brutal. I mean, it was a phenomenal fight. Luckily, I got put on the show. I was a dark fight that night, and since I won so fast, Dana put me on the actual broadcast. So I was able to be seen by everyone. But there was a lot of other fights too that were insane and really good. And yeah, so then we got in the UFC and we had to start winning and proving ourselves. And some of us did, and some of us didn't. So it was and then luckily, back then it wasn't oversaturated as much as it is now. And so what would happen is they had a fight like every 2 months or something like that, and they really pushed us hard because we were on the Ultimate Fighter, and they'd put a lot of value into us. investment into us as building us from the Ultimate Fighter and then into the UFC, and then us winning our first fights in the UFC. So we were always on the countdown shows and the embeddeds and stuff like that. And we had a lot of promotion boosting us to make us a lot more bigger, faster than it is nowadays, where it's like really, really hard to stand out. And you got to, man, there's guys in the UFC right now that's probably 4-5, 6-0. I don't even know who they are. It's tough you got to really follow the sport now, and you got to really make a name for yourself and win big fights and exciting fights and have some kind of it factor to even be known today versus back then. It was a lot easier to kind of build our careers.
Yeah,
Luckily, for us, you know, it was.
I remember there's kind of like, I don't want to knock anybody, but there's kind of one-dimensional fighters. I don't want to say one-dimensional, but like they just had one major skill set where it was like they really shined. I don't even know if it was like, is that it shined or like the other, not to devalue their other skills, like Chuck Liddell, right? Not really a ground guy, very, very strong hands, and, had a good takedown defense. And you had, your friend, I think it was your friend, was Koscheck your friend?
Yeah, he was my teammate. Well, I mean, he wasn't my friend on the TV show, and he wasn't my friend off and on, like periodically throughout time. But we did go to the same gym, and he's a cool guy. I mean, I like Koscheck, but yeah, we had he was my teammate.
So great wrestler, right? At the time. But how has the sport changed? Has it really adapted where guys like a Koscheck and Liddell, how would they theoretically thrive in this day and age? Or would they probably just have to up other parts, maybe improve their boxing a little bit to catch up? Or do you think that those guys would not hold up to the guy? I know it's kind of a loaded question here, but how would old school guys, Rich Franklins of the world, like how would they hold up? I think they would just have to train in all skill sets and they'd be fine. But as they were then compared to a guy now, it would be an interesting fight, I would think.
Okay, so the highlights of my career were I fought for contendership in 2 divisions. I fought for contendership to fight Anderson Silva. I was number 1 contender, and I picked a fight because I didn't want to wait for that fight because he had to fight Travis Lutter after I beat Loazo. So I fought Yushin Okami and ended up losing the decision. And then I fought Dan Hardy to fight GSP. And I ended up losing that fight by decision and didn't get to fight GSP. So I was right there at the top on both divisions,
right.
As close as you could possibly get without having a title fight. And to say that I could do that now with the same skill set that I had back then, same age and everything else, it would be a lot harder. Yes, it would absolutely be a lot harder. I think I and like guys like Chuck Liddell, like what you mentioned, would have a better chance because our styles. I was very I wasn't one-dimensional, but I was very aggressive oriented, and how I won my fights was in a way that was very it was kind of one-sided. It was very aggressive. It was very aggressive, and I was very.
You're a scrappy guy.
It was more than skill, was my mentality and my ferocity of going out there and trying to just. I mean, I was either going to kill my opponent or go out on my shield, and that got me a lot of victories. And that could still get me a lot of victories. And I did have a ground game. I did pick up everything else, training with my teammates throughout the years. But I gained most of my skills after I was in the UFC. A lot of my BJJ, my wrestling defense, because my entire team was wrestlers. I mean, from Khabib as the ladder of the team, all the way from the beginning, from Thompson and Fitch and Koscheck and Kane and DC. I mean, I was just constantly getting taken down and take shields. And so I learned to take down defense and stuff like that. But other than that, I was very much, you knew what was going to happen when I went out there, and it was very aggressive, and it was easy to kind of strategize against, but it doesn't mean you're going to beat me. And this is why we felt like I had a better chance to beat GSP than most of my teammates who fought him, like Fitch and Koscheck, because I would never fight him in his game. I would fight him more so the style that Matt Serra fought him, in a very aggressive way, and not put him on a pedestal. I wasn't afraid of anyone, and I would throw a ton of punches with a ton of power and just go for it. We all knew, or at least I knew, you could never beat Georges St. Pierre. He was the greatest. I was in a welterweight at a time when we had the greatest welterweight of all time.
Yeah.
The king. We all knew we could not ever beat him in like a point fight, or like technically, or how he wanted us to fight. So it would take someone like me, or someone that had something different to add to the equation that could possibly end the fight by just a knockout or catching him or something like that, because it would have to be that type of victory at that time. He was just unbeatable and unstoppable. So but yeah, you're absolutely right. And nowadays you got these guys. It's very competitive, and the guys to get in the UFC is so hard. And then there's so many guys in the UFC, and then anything can happen once you get in there. So I mean, you got guys like Kamaru Usman. I mean, he's one of the greatest. They're talking about being pound for pound one of the greatest in the world, and then he just
Yeah.
loses a bunch of fights. This happens. It's brutal. It's hard. So it's like to survive today and to be like your Sugar Shans and these guys that, I mean, look at John Jones. John Jones is one of the greatest of all time, and
Yeah.
he's not talked about as much as Sugar Sean and these other guys, and some of these other guys, Hamzai. They got more publicity and they're getting more attention and they're getting more fame just because they're in the spotlight. They're still fighting. John Jones, just all he did was just step away a little bit, and he's already, not being forgotten, but it's out of sight, out of mind. So it's like it's a very competitive world today, and it's like I'm very happy and very fortunate that I was able to fight in the time that I was. But at that time, let me tell you, it was the most competitive of that time, because when we were coming off the Ultimate Fighter, then the UFC was increasing, and we were getting more and more fights every month, and tougher people. So at that time, we were in the prime of the competition, of the world, but now it's obviously a lot different. And
I miss those
and then
days.
there's a bad side to that too. There's a lot of these guys that are living in bubbles that are going in the UFC, and they have like a couple good wins, and luck's a little bit behind it, or they're one side and they've won a couple fights and they get exposed later on, but they're living inside this bubble, especially in the Ultimate Fighter, where they're chasing the fame and chasing the money and chasing the popularity, and I never chased money. I never chased fame. I said yes to everything the UFC wanted. Like, it was just my goal to get in the UFC, make a name for myself as big as possible, and move into business and set up my life here in paradise where I wanted it. And nowadays, these guys are seeing that fame and they're chasing it. Like they're all trying to be like Jake Paul, trying to chase that fame
Yeah.
and trying to get publicity and trying to be that Sugar Sean. And you got to understand that kind of just happens. You have to have that backbone now. You have to have that talent to go with it. So as you've probably seen, there's a lot of these guys that do a lot of talking and try to do a lot of charisma and controversy and all that stuff that don't have that backbone, and they're not getting very far. But yeah, I mean, overall, to answer your question, long story short, yeah, it's a very tough sport and tough division now, or tough competition now to make a name.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the sugar kind of people, the flashy people. I'm more of a fan of the put your head down, get the work done kind of fighters. And even for football, like the Odell Beckham Jr. guys don't really appeal to me. I like the Jalen Hurts if you watch football. Good work ethic, put your head down and work. Like my friend Benil Dariush, like he was on an 8-fight win streak, right? I'm curious for you, for in your situation, for example, like you never, I don't think, you never got a title fight, and you never won the championship. Am I correct?
Mm-mm.
Okay,
I
so
was
my
one fight away in two divisions. I had to cry both times
so
to
my que- so
get
my
to the top
question
of
is,
the ladder and fall down.
I'm trying to figure out why that never happened. So Benil's on an 8-fight win streak. Out of those 8 fights, 6 fights in, he should have had a title shot. Never did. Now he lost 2, and now he's kind of set
Yeah.
back. He's not a loud guy, very a man of his faith, Jesus, and all that stuff. And it sucks, man. He's not getting the chance. And anyway, hopefully he comes back and he bounces back. But either way, was it for you? Was it like a popularity thing? You never got the opportunity, or was it just the way the matches lined up, or did you take some fights you shouldn't have taken, or what happened to you that kind of just held you back from that championship? And we understand how good GSP was at the time, right? We get that, right? One in a, I don't know how many
And
billion.
Silva, we didn't know at the time, but yeah, he turned out to be he turned out to be a lot better than we thought when I was going to fight him. No, it was opposite. Like, so for me, I mean, you got to look at it like this. It's an entertainment sport, so it's your career and your expectancy and longevity in the sport is based upon how many tickets you're going to sell, how
Right.
sellable you are as a fighter, on both the entertainment, or sorry, on the entertainment side and on the fighting side. So you have to have it all. And I was very, very much pushed by UFC and Dana. I always did everything Dana wanted, and was doing the 5 a.m. interviews and doing all the travel to all the appearances and doing everything. So they were really pushing me. So they were trying their best to get me title shots. I mean, the GSP title shot, they gave it to me back to back. I was supposed to fight Martin Kampman and the winner fight for GSP, and they were grooming me to fight GSP because they knew that I was going to be the guy that wasn't going to put him on a pedestal and
Right.
go out there and do what every single person was doing. It was just these point fights, these technical fights where GSP is just going to beat all of them. They knew I was going to
Now,
go out there and go. out on my shield and just try to kill him. And they wanted to see how GSP would react to that and see what his defense against somebody who's that aggressive right from the start, and putting that much power on him, can do. And then whether he was able to defeat me, or I could land that punch and knock him out. They wanted to see some kind of action with the fight like that. They couldn't find anybody else that would go in there and do that. So they were very much pushing me. Martin Kampmann, I got a concussion. I couldn't end up fighting him. And so that fight got canceled. So my chance to fight GSP, I thought, was over. And he ended up fighting Paul Daly and then lost. And so he didn't get anything either. Nobody got anything. And then my very next fight, Dana pushed me again and then gave me the Dan Hardy fight. So I got to have a second opportunity. But I didn't even fight the first one, obviously, because I had to back out of the fight. And then this time, another opportunity to fight GSP. And I just blew him. I mean, the UFC and Dana couldn't have put me in better positions and promoted me more and got me into position to be a champion more than they could have. I just couldn't do my job and win those two fights that I needed to in order to get those, to be able to get that title shot, deservingly. And the Yushin Okami fight was the most frustrating because it was so close, but it was in my hometown, and I grew up in Texas, small town. I'm more about values and like accomplishing things and stuff than fame and money and stuff. And to me, it's like, I do believe if I'm going to fight Anderson Silva, at that time, we didn't know who he was and how great he was. We knew he was good, but we didn't know how great he was at that time. But I knew if I was going to fight the world champion, I should be able to beat anybody. So there's never a question of like, I don't want to take a risk. I could never tell Dana that. I could never look at Dana and say, I don't want to risk fighting this so-and-so guy because I want to wait for a champion. That doesn't make any sense to me. I should be able to fight everybody in the whole division, and I did. I was on a 5-fight win streak in the UFC. In the middleweight division, and a 4-5-fight win streak in the welterweight division. And both times I got to this level. And then Yushin Okami happened to be another ringer, another guy that was way stronger, way better than we thought. Ended up fighting Anderson Silva, ended up beating Dean Lister on the ground, and should have beat Rich Franklin. And it was a very close fight with him. And I was sick at the time and didn't realize I had a condition called atrial fibrillation, and then I had an esophageal spasm. And so what happened was I had to drop weight. I couldn't keep my weight up, and I was super small when I fought Yushin. And so the fight didn't go my way. I lost a close decision, and then I dropped to welterweight. And then Dana the very next fight from losing, my contender fight with Yushin, he put me as a main event on the UFC against Josh Berkman. It was my first welterweight fight, and then I ended up winning that fight and going on to beat Goulet and going on to beat Marcus Davis and going on to beat Ben Saunders and going on to beat just a full run all the way back up to Dan Hardy to fight GSP. And then again, the circumstances didn't align themselves so great. I went to England, fought Dan Hardy in his backyard, and the fight was just a horrible fight. I mean, we both. He was more pumped up. I was actually not to make excuses, but kind of sick at the time. But more importantly than that, I was out of my element, and I never been treated so bad. I love the English people, the English fans.
Yeah.
I love them to death. They're passionate, and they were getting autographs from me all week. But when I walked out for that fight, I was 9-1 in the UFC. I'd only had one loss to Yushin Okami. It was a close fight, and it was a contendership fight. And I was getting cussed out. My hat was stolen, and it was just disheartening walking out to that crowd when usually the crowd is in my favor. And I enjoy the crowd being in my favor, and I enjoy having that support. I enjoy pouring myself out and losing my blood and possibly my brain cells for these fans and giving them what they want and getting that response that I'm used to getting from them back. And then I walk out to fight Dan Hardy in his backyard, and it was, not only was I not feeling good and I wasn't really ready in the first place, but in his home backyard and jet lag, and then to be treated like that when I walked out, it just was just morally, it was just disheartening. And I was really definitely off my game at that stage. I got robbed. My hat got stolen. I literally got robbed on the way to the ring. They stole my hat off my head. And was screaming at me, yelling at me, trying to push me. They weren't trying to touch me like most of the time. They were trying to actually hit me, I think, and push me. And then I got inside the ring, and we both. He gave me a lot of respect too. I love Dan Hardy, and he gave me a lot of credit too, because he should have finished me. I mean, he should have technically, looking back at that fight, he should have knocked me out. And he was just very, very, very cautious because of my striking experience and all the fights that I had won so fast. He knew that I was one punch away from winning a fight. So he would rock me or land that real good hook that he has, and he would gave me a lot of credit and didn't come in and rush in and try to do anything risky. But we fought to a 3-round decision, and I ended up losing that fight too. So yeah.
So I want to ask you, so maybe it sounds like this one was it, but what was your most memorable fight and why? Out of all your fights, which one really sticks out to you, whether you have it back or just to do it again? What was your most memorable fight?
This is like a dream come true fight. It was DeMarcus Johnson on UFC on Fox 4, on Fox, the biggest platform ever. But what happened is I was supposed to fight Eric Silva in Brazil, and I got Koscheck, my good buddy at the gym. I
Yeah.
was doing stupid wrestling, and he hit the side of my knee after I already took him down and reversed him. And he was pissed off. He's one of those ego guys, And he hit the side of my knee, and then basically my knee bent inwards, and it tore my ACL, MCL, and meniscus.
Oh,
So it was a trifecta. I mean, I just completely just obliterated my knee. And I was out getting knee surgeries and getting my knee fixed and rehabbing for 3 solid years. And I was already starting at that point building my gym in Thailand and trying to do research and come to Thailand. And I was failing and learning and slowly doing the process that you always have to do to find success in anything. So I was already starting that. And then I had 910 days off of fighting. So from 910 days off before I could even fight or do seminars, barely could walk. I was coming to Thailand and limping around trying to get this gym built. I came back for my next fight, and Dana put me on that UFC on Fox 4 fight against DeMarcus Johnson, a really tall, really big, good jiu-jitsu and scrappy
yeah.
striker. It was going to
I
be a very
remember.
tough
Yeah.
fight, but I wanted a fun fight, and he knew that. And everything, because I had that much time off, and I had blown a lot of money, and I used a lot of money building the gyms or failing at building gyms in Thailand at that time. Lost a ton of money, failing twice before I built AK Thailand. And so that fight was going to determine whether I built this gym or not. If I didn't win that fight and get the bonus, and Dana hooked me up with a very outstanding win to be able to get that kind of bonus and hookup, I would have never been able to come here and build this gym at that time. So I had all that on the line, 910 days without fighting. So the ring rust and the pressure of that. And I was on this new platform with like Fox, where it's like, I'd never seen this kind of publicity and fan base. And like, it had grown in 3 years like I'd never seen. I mean, it was completely mainstream. It was completely like huge. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And I was
Right.
on the main card. I was the first fight heading in the show. And DeMarcus and I was aggressive against DeMarcus in the beginning. I was my old self. I just snapped right into fighting. There was no problem at all. Landed a real hard punch, almost knocked him out. It didn't knock him out, and he's very resilient. And he came back, and he gave me a hell of an end of the first round, and ended up taking me down, busting up my face, elbow in my eyes. I was bleeding, and he ended up capturing that first round because of the top position and stuff. And then that's when everything just really just started setting in, like those movies when it's just like things are getting blurry and black, and
Right.
your visions are coming like, what the hell is happening? I'm losing this fight. Yeah, I'm losing this fight that I have to win. I can beat this guy. What's going on? And it's like, if I lose this fight, I lose my life. I lose everything I've worked for this business in Thailand and all this work that I put into this. And, I've lost everything. And so going into that second round, I didn't know what to do, and it's like I needed every advantage I could, and I knew he's a game guy, so I wasn't going to intimidate him, but I didn't want him to think I was intimidated either, and I knew that whatever I did, I had to throw like to the cheap seats. It had to be, I had to push the pace and finish this guy off. So I knew that whenever I did throw that punch, it was going to be as hard as absolutely possible. And I just remember smiling at him, and my face was all bloody, and I was, of course, inside I was just tormented because I was like, fuck, I lost, this first round. I have to win these next 2 rounds or knock him out or beat him to just be able to win now. And he's good and he's aggressive. He's a game guy considering how long I've had off and in the situation. And like the one thing I can do is knock him out, and I have to figure out a way to do that.
Right.
And I remember smiling at him with the blood dripping off my face. And he did what normally would backfire on me and cause me to be more insecure. But I'm just a savage guy that loves it. And I wanted that fight. I wanted him to be aggressive. I wanted him to come after me because that's where I'm going to catch him. And so I smiled at him, and he smiled right back at me, which, again, like when most people do that, they try to play tough,
Yeah.
and your opponent plays tough back. That's the worst thing if you're not 100% serious. If you're not 100% serious when you try to intimidate someone and they come back at you
Call your
again,
bluff.
you're
Yeah.
broken. You're fucking broken. But
Yeah.
for me, I loved it because then I knew he was going to come after me, and that's what I needed. I needed that aggressive DeMarcus that's going to try to knock my head off, where I can counter and land that punch.
Right.
And going into round number 2, I waited and waited and waited and was feigning and trying to get him to come and be more aggressive. I countered all of his punches, landed a couple of punches, and then he threw that one sloppy kick, and I caught it. And I had a choice then if I could just punch him. I mean, I had his legs, so I had him where I wanted him. He couldn't move, and I could just go ahead and throw that overhand right or that straight right, and try and knock him out. Equally standing apart from each other. Or I can do something that's never been done before. And I don't know how I came up with this. I could just push his chest and hold his leg
Yeah.
and push him to the ground, and then let gravity help me as I threw this punch, and then just come from all the way on top and just basically fall right on top of him and land that punch right on top of his face. How I thought about doing that and why I thought about doing that, aside from the fact that I just knew I had to kill him and put him out in order to win this fight, I did it, and I pushed him. He fell down, and I just came on top and landed that punch, and he was just completely unconscious. Stole the show. It was knockout of the night. Got all my bonuses. Got everything, and went on to come build AK Thailand. So that was absolutely, and it was at Staples Center, which is my favorite place to fight in Los Angeles.
Right.
Coming out to Ambitions of a Rider with Tupac. Tupac's one of my idols. And then the crowd going crazy when I walked out again after the layoff. It just altogether was the greatest fight of my career, and enabled me to do what I needed to do here to live the life that I have now and that I've worked so hard to get.
Yeah, like Dana, I want to talk about Dana White here and looking after his fighters after, well, kind of during and after mainly. So you've been out of the UFC for a while. How has life been after the UFC? Is there enough money to I mean, obviously you got to work, you got to keep probably making money, stuff like that. We never want to stop making money, but has it been enough for you to sustain a life? Does the UFC look after veterans a little bit? Is there anything for you guys in regards to compensation? Obviously you can use the UFC name, UFC veteran, which is huge, right? I mean, that alone, you can carry the emblem. It's like a badge of honor, right? That's how I'm looking at it. But do they look after, does the UFC as an organization look after retired fighters much? How has it been for you?
Dana's looked after me a lot, like as far as just talking to me, and he's had no reason to text me and stay as close as he has. And we've had such a great relationship since fighting. But I never have to work again, to be honest with you. Like I can retire right now and never have to work again and live a beautiful life here. I work out of pure passion right now, and what I built here is one of the most successful sports combat gyms of all time. It's the largest in the world. It's the highest rated in the world, and it's the first sports combat gym ever created for everybody. I built it for everyone, just like Fight Club the movie. I didn't build it for fighters specifically, so I built it for everyone. So the facilities are it's 2-acre compound filled with facilities and buildings, and I got a restaurant. I truly feel I'm the most successful businessman that's ever fought in the UFC, next to your Conor and your Khabib. And as far as I think just Conor, to be honest, as far as hands-on business. So I've been very fortunate. It hasn't been when I say this, it hasn't been as easy as it sounds. I failed twice. I've had to restart. I've went broke multiple times, but I built the life that I wanted. And I live in paradise now. I have everything I want. My kids are taken care of. Everything's taken care of. I'm on bonus time now, and I'm just living the passion and just improving my gym and just making it the most unique gym. We just had Aoki here a few days ago. We just had a 5-time football champion here. This couple days ago, doing off my Alpha Tower, but I just invent things and draw things out and build them. I mean, the entire gym was drawn by me, built by me, in the middle of a jungle with a nice mountainscape, ocean view.
Wow.
I got a podcast studio on site. I got my restaurant on site. I got multiple training facilities, a 5,500 square foot open air jungle encoved Muay Thai area, 3,500 square foot matted indoor training facility with actually a couple of them. And then the pro shop, and then Airdyne room, a really nice AKA Airdyne room, a weight room. We got basketball court. We got the Alpha Tower, one of a kind, 55-foot tall Alpha Tower, stairs, ropes, pull-up bars, never been invented before. I just basically built a huge flagpole for my flag, got my flag at the top, AK Thailand, because nobody thought I could build this gym. And you have to do something special, to do something incredible. And when I was coming to Thailand to build a gym, everybody thought I was so crazy, because they're like, dude, you have no Muay Thai fights. Why are you going to the country with the most Muay Thai gyms in the entire world?
Right.
That's their number one sport, and they invented it. You've never had a Muay Thai fight. You've been going there for 20 years to work on your striking, but you never had a Muay Thai fight. How are you going to teach, Muay Thai better than the people that invented it? And it's like, I never set out to teach better Muay Thai. I set out to teach how to build a proper gym, and a gym that's different, and a gym that is unlike any other gym in the world. And shockingly, to my surprise, this year we just a few weeks ago we just picked up for 2023, but we got 2021, 2022, and 2023 the best Muay Thai school in Thailand, voted by Thailand, but voted
Wow.
by the actual governing body of Muay Thai. So to come over here and be able to say that
Do that.
you accomplished the best Muay Thai gym in Thailand three years in a row, as a Texas boy coming to Thailand, it shows that what you have to do is just do it different. We're not better. My trainer, we don't teach everything the best and everything so what you would expect. It's my thing is customer experience. My thing is to learn about your customer. My staff, I got 47 staff on site. My staff knows that their number one job is customer experience. You find out what that customer wants. If they're there to lose weight, you make them lose weight. You don't sit there and correct their kicks every single time like they're going to be a Lumpini champion. You just make them work. Make them work. If it's a bunch of girl influencers or celebrities that are just trying to get pictures for Instagram, be a
Right.
clown, have fun, fall on the ground, laugh and joke, put them on the bags. We got tons of celebrities that come in. Central C was here recently too as well. Dan Bilzerian comes all the time, and we free dive. We free dive at least 2 or 3 times a year. Actually, I've been all over with him free diving, but and so it's a gym built for just your upper class, everyday person, business people, influencers, celebrities, entrepreneurs, speakers, business. Like I said, business. It's for people like that want a real clean, nice, high class environment, but still have the curriculum of AKA and be able to get in there and let their alpha out and fight, and like Fight Club, for instance, but not necessarily bust your nose open and bust your eyes open and break
Right.
your face open. It's a controlled environment with pads, but we give everyday people the same curriculum as fighters, but it's just not as many fighters. We do have a fight team, but it's a small contingent. It's built for everybody, because for me, it's like being an entrepreneur. My demographic is much bigger from people who watch fighting and people who are fans of fighting than fighters. And
Right.
plus fighters, it's like I'm not trying to train somebody, for 4 months and babysit them and then just get a 10% cut of their fight purse. I mean, when I got customers that are everyday, your average person that comes in here, and they'll pay for every single second that they're here, and they'll keep repaying and coming back more and more and more, because they're happy, because they're getting the attention and the care and the guidance and the family atmosphere that brings happiness. I'm selling a drug, and that drug's called happiness, and it goes a long way. And I've done a lot of research on how to make that customer experience the number one thing. We just had the Prince of Dubai come in and train, and nobody knew he was here. He was incognito, and like
Wow.
Javier was so excited because Javier's with Khabib in Dubai all the time, and he's like, "Man, thank you so much for taking such good care of him." I'm like, "Jav, we take care of everybody the same. It's just the same. No matter what. We coordinate our celebrities, at different times, and until we build our celebrity center, which we're building next, which is going to be like the penthouse of sports combat gyms on the upper part of the land. It's going to be specifically just for them and blocked off and gated." But this prince was out there punching people in the face and getting punched in the
Wow.
face, and nobody had any idea. And this is a guy you can't even look at in Dubai, more or less go shake his hand or say hi to him, like unless he wants you to. And he was here for a whole month behind me here, and just and having the time of his life, just being a normal guy, being a normal human being that has that savagery inside of him, like we all do. And we have a full media department with 4 staff that just does nothing but shoots video and photos all of our guests and all of our adventures, and records all of the going ons of me operating this gym and things that we do, just to to give these people, souvenirs of themselves being alpha, so they can take it home, show their family and show their friends, and be like, look, I'm really cool. I'm not just an accountant. I'm out here in Thailand for training in Muay Thai, doing some savage shit. Like I said, Central C, he was here training 2 times a day like a savage, like Aoki. Aoki just left. He was here for a couple of days with me, and we were doing all kinds of stuff. And like Savage again, another guy, just absolute savage. You would never believe it. He's a DJ and running around throwing cakes and stuff. But it's like the guy was just training hard and going through everything. And then we had fun, and we were doing some really cool stuff. We did a performance here in Phuket, this is the life that I wanted. This is the life that I chased, is to be able to have this successful business in this nice, beautiful paradise island. Have this view.
It's beautiful.
Like right here, you can't see the water from my house, and live in this type of environment and be able to meet these type of great people. And every single person that comes to my gym, no matter who they are, what level they are, whatever, they're just such great people from different parts of the world. Every single person that comes to my gym, it comes from outside of Thailand. Nobody is like a tourist that just stops by the gym. Everybody books well in advance, stops their lives, changes, everything to fly all the way to Thailand just to come to our gym and train. And so for that commitment from them, I owe them a lot by the time they get there. And what I owe them is the best customer experience possible and a family atmosphere. When they fight, we have a fight this weekend. I have a broadcasting network here as well. We have an app in the App Store for AK Thailand. Wow. And we have over 150 techniques for Muay Thai. We have all kinds of tips, advice, community boot camps, entertainment videos. And then we also have full live broadcasting from the stadiums here. I have deals with the stadium. So we're doing high definition broadcasts of entire fight cards. And we have one Friday night, 9 p.m. Thai time. And our guests are fighting as well. So you'll see the entire Muay Thai fight card live from Thailand on the app on your phone or on akthailand.tv. And we're filming these. And when not only are our fighters and people at our gym that come here and fight get that opportunity to fight live, where their family can actually watch them from home, from France and from Australia and from America, and watch them fight live in Thailand via our network. But they feel so awesome because they're just fighting in these little Thai stadiums. But we bring 30, 40 people from the gym, maybe even more, sometimes 50, 60, all wearing AK Thailand. And they're just like, like a soccer stadium, like singing and stomping the ground for these guys. And no matter who they are, no matter how new they are, no matter how much they know each other, we're a family. And it's like when these fighters walk out, they feel like they're fighting in the UFC, and they might have had just one fight. They might be a businessman who's in construction, which we have all the time. This guy that's fighting this weekend, Chris, he has a normal job. He has a normal job. He's a freelance. He works freelance from his computer. So he just works from everywhere. He's trained only for a year and a half, and he's only had one fight. He's fighting this weekend. And these guys beat all the fighters from around here. It's amazing. But like these guys that aren't technically fighters are absolutely savage, and they have nothing to lose. And this is just them having fun in their dream. And because of that reason, that stress is gone. And then they have the backbone of AK Thailand in the audience just screaming, and the roof is being just raised off these stadiums as they walk out. And they're feeling like the top of the world to come from like their job. And now they're being rooted for like by 50, 60 people in this Thai stadium as they walk out. They're being broadcast live across the world, and they get in there and they just destroy their opponents. You can look at our Instagram. We win fight after fight after fight. So what I created here is it's a perfect environment for me to just enjoy my life and do it in a way where I can create success for myself and my family. But more so, I can create success for everybody else at the same time. I'm not ripping people off. I'm not doing a gimmick. I'm not scamming people. I'm not teaching people, stock market. I'm creating success. These people are losing weight. These people are having their fights that they've always wanted. They're letting their savagery out. They're doing all these things that they've dreamed of, and I love seeing it. I absolutely love seeing it.
I like it as total immersion. So if I want to if I want to learn Spanish, I'm going to Spain. If I want to learn French, I'm going to France, right? Like, so with you, if I want to learn Muay Thai and get the best experience, I'm going there. And I'll give you an example. When I was training MMA, this is like 2009, 10, my friend, I don't know what year it was, give or take a couple of years, my friend Ryan Dixon, who was a pro MMA fighter, never made the UFC, but was pro, had a good run. lost year. They never made the UFC, but it came close. He went to Thailand and actually trained there, I think for like, I don't know how long, 6 months to a year. When he came back, man, his kicks were amazing. His shins were
Yep.
conditioned. He looked amazing. You could see the hips were working a lot better when he was turning his hips on the kicks with the roundhouses. But anyway, he told me that he fought in front of a king. Can you explain who's this king there? Like, do you fight in front of like royalty over there? How does it work? He's like, I fought in
Yeah.
front of a king.
Yeah. I mean, we've never done it at AK Thailand. You're talking about this is like the best Muay Thai fighters, right? So I don't have a gym that has the best Muay Thai fighters as far
Okay.
as like competition, because we're spending all of our time giving to our customers and being creating this atmosphere on site. So we have the your average everyday person, and we have our fight team as well that fights. But our focus is customer experience and making their journey, not being gone all the time to have fight teams and going and being gone every weekend to these places for fighting. So the smaller fight gyms have these great fighters that are just Thai. They're Thai fighters and they're
Yeah.
great and they're the highest level. And there's a King's Cup every year. I think it's called a King's Cup, and they fight in front of the king. Yeah, there's this, and they pick like the best of the best Thai fighters, and then sometimes I think they pick foreigners too that have some kind of something that draws them in. Maybe it
Yeah.
could be an it factor, or they could maybe pay. I don't know what the situation is, but they do have foreigners that fight as well, and they do fight in front of the king. And the king, this is the national sport of Thailand. So from royalty down, this is the number one sport, so that everybody wants to watch it. And so this King's Cup or whatever they refer to it as, yeah, they do actually fight in front of the royalty. I think
That's
John
wild.
Limpar has done that, if I remember correctly, and some other fighters, and it's incredible. But like you said, um, Thai fighters, just because they're a good fighter doesn't mean they're a good trainer. Just because they're a good trainer doesn't mean they're a good fighter. I have good trainers at my gym, and my trainers can train just like any other trainer at any other gym. So it's not like you're getting, especially with guys on the level less than Ties, which is all of us, right? You don't need the level of trainer you need doesn't matter. You're so far below where it comes down to like this trainer has had this much experience and this one's better. You need this guy because you're so good. You're so much better than this trainer. You have to have this trainer, right? So we all the trainers are essentially can teach you the same basic stuff that you need, especially as foreigners coming in here. You haven't spent enough time. You don't have 300 fights. You're not being picky with trainers. I mean,
Right.
the trainers can teach you what you need, but my trainers are just geared differently, and they train actually, I guess you would say, kind of not wrong, but different than all other trainers, because they're training people for customer experience, not for fighting in Lumpini. And you go to any other gym in Thailand, even if you're not a fighter and a regular person that just happens to want to go to a gym, like all of our guests basically, but you're a different area, you want to go to a gym and you want to train a little bit of Muay Thai, you're going to get put through the ringer and you're going to be taught how to fight. And the way the trainer is going to train you is like you're a fighter. And people don't like that's intimidating to people that are like not experienced, and then having to spar with real fighters and having to be yelled at and having their kicks turned over and every little move dissected.
Right.
It takes the fun out of it, right? I
Yeah.
set out to not build Lumpini champions, but I set out to make happiness. Like I said, it's a drug I sell. It's called happiness, and this happiness is a high. And these people that come here, we have almost like 100% return rate, because they want that drug again. And that drug is when they come here, they're happy. They're happy. And this world is too miserable
Yeah.
for most of our lives. You got an 80% misery rate probably in our lives and a 20% pleasure happy rate. And most of the time you're working and you're getting told what to do, or you're having problems with your spouse or whatever, or you maybe have a mother or a family member that's sick, or something's not going your way during your day, and you're stressed out over money and you're stressed out over this. So you don't have that much happiness, in the percentage to your life. And so when you come to AK Thailand, our job is to make you happy and to make you forget the bad things in your life and then just enjoy yourself. And we're going to make sure that our staff is going to give you what's going to make you enjoy your training and feel like family. And we're going to know your name, because we have a cap of how many people we have at our gym, and we don't go past that cap. We raise the price if we have to, supply versus demand, but we
Right.
don't go past that cap because we want to know our customers. We want to know who they are. We want to know their story. and we want to know, about them to make sure that we can give that customer experience to every single customer. And then when they leave, there's no crash from this drug. The happiness continues, and then you get another peak when you get home, because when you get home, now you get to show your family and your friends the videos that we shot and the photos that we gave you. Of yourself training and being a badass and being savage, and now you're bragging to your kids, you're bragging to your friends, you're bragging to your wife, and you're showing on social media. So now you got another spike in this high of happiness from this experience. Then you start crashing, and then that crash is not from us. The crash is called the real world. When you go
Yeah.
back and you have to go to work, and you have to not have that people catering to you and giving you that ultimate happiness of this beautiful paradise that you're living in here and training here. And so then it just takes a matter of time until you get that, you get that itch to get that drug again. You want that happiness again. And then next thing you know, they're calling us up and emailing us again. And like, I'm going to come for 2 months this time. I'm going to come for 3 months. And then people started wanting to come for 6 months and a year and just work for 6 months and then come for a year. And I'm like, how the hell can I do that? Because in Thailand, it's like you can only get a visa for 3 months max for tourism. So I was like, what do we do? And then we found out through research, and I started asking my manager, my gym manager, Anchali, we can actually turn our gym into a school, like an actual, a legitimate school in Thailand for Muay Thai, a Muay Thai school. And if we turn our gym into a school, then we can give up to 6 and 12-month visas for educational
Wow.
visas.
Smart.
And so then what we did was I said, full board, let's do it. We turned our gym into a school. So now we have Contender School, and we do 6 and 12-month visas now, just because these people want to stay for so long. We put them on an education visa, and they're basically coming for schooling, and it's a school of Muay Thai, and they're getting education visas. And now we can sell them 6-month packages and 12-month packages and get them for longer. And so we have a lot of people, that blows your mind, that are here for 6 months to a year. I mean, they come for that long, and then they'll go back and they'll make some more money, and then they'll come back again and stay here, another 6 months or 3 months or a year or whatever else. So it's really cool to have this type of job and meet these type of people and have these type of successes happen right in front of your face. Because it's not just about winning fights. I've been there. I've done it. I don't have to see fighters win fights to be happy. I want to see people have successes of all types. And I want to meet people of all types. I want to meet cool people like Central C and hang out with him. I want to meet guys like Aoki and go to his performance and go backstage and watch him perform and find all these successful people that are coming in and talk to them and learn from them and network with them. And, and then all of our interesting people from just the gym that have all different backgrounds from different countries. And some are speakers, some are entrepreneurs, some are businessmen in all different areas. And it's just so great to come and associate with all these people, and everybody gets along so well.
I just want to shift gears. By the way, amazing that you're doing what you love, and that's something that I want to inspire people. That's why I wanted to start this podcast, this talk show, because I have athletes here, people that are living their dreams, and they don't have to be stuck in 9 to 5. And a lot of people are. I used to go to work. I worked a 9 to 5. I was a sales rep. I hated it. I just didn't like it. I wanted to break out of it. And I'm glad that you created not only that life for yourself, but you're helping other people create that life in a paradise there. They can go in there, get that total immersion experience. So love that aspect. So I'm happy about the positive and all your achievements, but I really want to talk about, your diagnosis with cancer and how you overcame that, because I think a lot of people not only just fear that possibly happening to them. I think that's a thought, oh, God forbid this ever happens to me. And not only that, people that have it, how do you overcome it? I really want to know kind of what that experience was like when you kind of when you first heard about it, got diagnosed by it, and then also how you overcame it. Was it more of a physical thing? Was it more of a mental thing? Because I know if you set your mind to it and say, no, I want to live. It looks like you're passionate about life, by the way, from what I'm getting. You're excited, you're passionate, you're making a difference in people's lives. Was it was it a mental thing to fight over it? And also, how was the diagnosis, and how did that process in your brain? Was it like your heart dropped? Was it a scary feeling? Can you just walk me through the start and how you overcame it? I'm really curious, because I'm really inspired by it. And I would assume it would probably give you a new outlook on life too, right? The fact that you fought this thing.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know where to start, but I mean, I'm a savage person just in general. So we do free diving, and I'm an extreme to the max, certified skydiver, free diver. And the way I fought, I'm just pedal to the metal on everything. And, I'm a fighter, so if I ever get put in a position where I have to fight, I'm down to fight. And the diagnosis I got just out of the blue, of having a healthy lifestyle up until I was 40 years old, before ever even really, because now we get a lot of VIPs in and we go out, or we did. I'm a lot more healthy now, but we go out, take them out on the town, and you find yourself drinking a little bit too much, or having partying a little bit too much and stuff. But until I was 40 years old, I never did anything, not even carbonated drinks, not even fast food. I mean, I was just
Wow.
training all the time, healthy food. I was super healthy, no cancer in my family, nothing. And I got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and after I got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, within 24 hours, my neck started swelling up, and I had like over 20 lymph nodes swollen in my neck within 24 hours, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I looked up the side effects of the Johnson & Johnson, and it said swollen lymph nodes was a side effect. So I said, well, hell, I guess that's it, And I let it go on for a couple months, and it just never got better. And it got worse and worse and worse. And that was from July to like December 2021. And then by December, I had to get tested to find out what was going on, because it clearly wasn't the Johnson & Johnson. And they did a biopsy and diagnosed me with the worst diagnosis you could possibly have for lymphoma, which is the most aggressive, deadly form. I think it's the exact same one that rest in peace, but Rumble Johnson died from. And it's a lymphoblastic lymphoma, cancer and leukemia cancer at the same time, in my bone marrow. And so it was stage 4, and it was very, very bad, to a point where they needed to put me in the hospital immediately. December 29th, I got my diagnosis, and I'm not ready to die. I got a lot of stuff to do, So the fact was, it wasn't like they were like, you're going to die. They didn't give me, because I asked them, they didn't give me a date. Like, it's like, you got 4 months to live. That's the biggest fear you ever have, is getting that date from the doctor, even though I
Right.
would still
Yeah.
fight. I'd
That
still
would be
fight against it if he told me that.
sorry to interrupt. I hate when doctors do that. You got like, who are they? They're
Yeah,
not God. They're not your superior. You have 8 months to, no,
I'm
no.
with you.
I don't believe that. I'd rather you not tell me. Let
I'm
me
with you.
fight this thing through. Again, God forbid it happens to me or anyone around me, but I'm just like, I'm stubborn like that. I wouldn't put up with that. And I'm sorry to interrupt you. How did they rule out that it's not, because you said it's not Johnson & Johnson. Did they rule that out, that it wasn't that?
Yeah, a histopathology test. They dissected it with the biopsy, and had to actually, a doctor, a specialist in histopathology, actually looked at the cell and found it, and identified it as a lymphoblastic lymphoma, cancer cell.
Okay.
And I'm with you. I don't believe in. I don't take no for an answer. Number one,
Yeah.
I don't. And anybody that knows me will tell you, I don't listen to anybody. I don't like if you have credentials and you're a specialist in your field for a certain thing, I will listen to you. And if you've went through cancer, and you're an actual case, you're telling me your story, I'm reading about it, or I'm watching a documentary, and you're telling me what happened to you specifically, and how you did your own, you know the way you medically handled it, be it medically from the hospital or holistically or whatever. I'm
Right.
going to listen to you, and I'm going to take all this stuff in, but I'm not going to just listen to a doctor and then just say and put my life in his hands. And a guy who's making money from the pharmaceutical companies, and from having a good salary. He's not like a guy in Africa building wells for children, and poor, and not having much money. The guy's clearly trying to make money for his family. I'm not going to put my hands and listen to him, or anybody coming to Thailand building this gym. I mean, everybody thought I was crazy, but it's like, who's to tell me I can't do that? Who's to tell me
Right.
that I'm no different than anybody else in this world, that I can go to any country I want and do whatever the hell I want to do? I don't listen to stuff like this. It's like, so for me, it's like, I got diagnosed December 29th, and he said, I need to get in chemo immediately. It was scary as hell to get that diagnosis, just because, like, it's always scary when you get told you have 4 stages of leukemia. But he didn't give me a date exactly, like, you're dying in 4 months, you're dying in 3 months. But he did say, you got about a year, that depending on how much the chemo can kill of that cancer, and how well your body takes to the chemo, you can possibly live a year and be fine. And possibly, if the chemo kills enough cancer, you can live longer. That's scary. I mean, a year is a long time, but not a long time if that's all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's a long time if you got to wait for like something great to happen and you're counting the days. But when
Yeah.
it's like your life ends in a year, that's a short ass amount of time. And so, but what I did find out, or from that conversation, was I had a fight now. I had a fight, and this is what I do. So, amongst being a little bit shocked and a little bit depressed, and taking all this in my head at the same time, because my brain works like crazy fast, and I'm constantly dissecting every single
Me
thing
too.
down to its like molecular level.
I'm
And this
like
is
that
works
too.
great. It works great in business because I know every outcome and how to counter every possible failure and every possible situation.
Like
But in
chess.
my personal life, I can't sleep. I'm coming up with ideas at 2 a.m, and then I'm drawing plans by 4 a.m. on how to build this new thing I came up with. But as far as the medical thing, the same thing. I want to figure out a plan, and I want to figure out how to beat this thing. And I have a fight now. I felt like I went from being like, this is a bad situation. Why is this happening to me? Why did I deserve this? I've done nothing but good for people. I've lived healthy. That little 5 seconds ended, and then it became like, okay, I got to fight now. Now is my time to fight, and I'm a fighter, and I know I'll push myself almost to death to get my life back. I mean, there's nothing I won't do to live. So like, I know if I starve myself to death from my research on cancer, the cancer will die before I will, and because it's a broken cell, and those cells die faster than good cells, and I need my good cells to die before I die. So I knew I had that starvation always in the back pocket, and so then it became like the doctors are trying to get me in chemo, and I'm like, no, 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 I'm not going to chemo right now. I'll come back when I'm ready. And the doctor's like, no, you need to go to chemo right now. And I'm like, no, I need to go do research, figure out how to beat my
Right.
opponent, which is cancer. And then I'll come back when I'm ready and because I have been eating bad, I've been eating sugar, I've been eating all these things that cancer eats. I got strong cancer in my body right now. I'm not about to put chemo and have chemo fight this strong cancer, and this cancer withstand the chemo, and then I end up dying. I need to go weaken this cancer. And in my fighting career, I'm used to fighting fights that are fair, and that's hard enough. Now I'm in a position where I have an advantage. I have a way to weaken my opponent. I can't go make my opponent in the UFC weaker. I can't go make
Right.
him injured. I can't hurt him. I can't make him sick on fight day. I can't make him, starving or thirsty or whatever. When we go out there and fight, I have to fight him at his best, or at least assume I am. But cancer's in my body. I'm in control of this opponent, and I can damn sure starve this cancer, and I can damn sure hurt this cancer, and I can damn sure beat it up before the chemo hits it and kill the most amount of it. And I know that. So now I need to figure out how to do that. And so at first it was like, how can I change my diet? And then, of course, alkaline vegetables, no
Right.
red meats, no sugar, no all the basic stuff everybody knows. I'm doing all this research, but then I'm realizing cancer still does eat these foods to a degree. So it's still going to get some nutrition, even though it's going to get weaker. So I said, well, you know what? I'm just going to starve myself completely, and then it's not going to eat at all, and then that puts me in control, because if I can make the pain of me starving myself completely, and having to go through that, and that's worse than being in pain from the cancer and being in pain from the chemo. I'm in control still. I don't have to worry about something beating me. I don't have to
Right.
worry about something inflicting pain on me, and taking control of my body, my thoughts, and my feelings. I know in my head I'm doing this to myself, which puts me in control and gives me the option of how much I can endure, and how far I can go, and who's doing this. So I went back in January 20 or December 29th all the way to January 14th. I didn't eat a single calorie, and I just drank water, and I
For
lost.
so for
If
14,
you
15 days, you just didn't have any food.
Not even a calorie, nothing, because
What?
I was gonna starve myself until that cancer was just almost like crawling out of my pores to get out of my body
Sorry,
before the chemo hit it.
can we go timeline again to anyone's listening? Because this is amazing advice, by the way, because clearly it works. So what happened? So
Saved
when
my life.
when was the diagnosis then? When did the diagnosis happen? Like when? Sorry?
29th of December, I was 195 pounds, 200 pounds, sitting in front of the doctor. I had lost a little bit of weight slowly over time, so I was getting ripped. I was like working out every day. Still, I still had energy. I didn't have, it wasn't like I was sick, but I had cancer. I didn't know it, but I was losing a little bit of weight and I was getting really ripped a lot faster. If you look back at the timeline from December of 2021, like those pictures I was posting on the internet from early December and November, I was shredded and I was like looking good. And I was just like, damn, why is my training working so good at 43 years old? Like I'm fucking shredded, you know? And it's because the cancer was kind of like taking its toll. Plus I was eating good. Plus I was training hard, through being fatigued and some things now that I look back that I had that was cancerous, that I didn't think about at the time. But when I showed up to get my diagnosis on December 29th, I was about 200 pounds, 195, give or take what I am right now. And the doctor diagnosed me 4 stage leukemia, and they're telling me I need to get in here and get in chemo immediately. And I said, no, I need to go start weakening this chemo or cancer and figure out what's going on, and let me have time to make my decision. I'm not just going to listen
For
to
sure.
you. I'm not going to die in 2 weeks, you know, and like, so just let me go figure this out, because my life depends on this. I'm not going to make a rash decision. You know what I'm saying? This is for my life. This is a chance I got to take. So then I realized I was going to starve myself. And I knew before the doctor told me later when I showed back up, which he absolutely panicked. I knew that if I starved myself, I've never done chemo before, and I've heard just horrible things about it. It was a huge risk, because I knew in my head from my research and from everything that I've read, because some people just go holistically and they don't do medically. And some people go medically, they don't go holistically. And they both
Right.
suffer sometimes and they die. And I've seen some people do both and they survive. And I've seen people survive doing holistically and medically too. But there's no rules. But these people, a lot of people just take it like religion, like, I'm only going medically, I'm only going holistically. There's no rules to this, right? You can do a little bit of everything. You can do whatever you think that your body can do to beat this cancer. And that's what I did. I didn't have rules of like, I'm anti-medical, I'm anti-holistic, I'm going only a certain way. My rule was, I'm weakening cancer and I'm doing whatever I can. And I'm going to do it to the point where I can push myself. And since I'm young and strong, I'm going to go ahead and take this risk of starving myself and hoping that I can still handle the chemo, which is going to be a month long of solid poison going into my body, and survive that to where I don't have to stop early and then end up ultimately not getting enough chemo, cancer growing more, and then me end up dying. So I knew I had to stick to this plan when I did it. Either I had to starve myself and hope that I can survive this chemo, or not starve myself and then have this chemo possibly not kill the cancer. And to me, it was more important that I killed that cancer and worried about surviving outside of that after than not killing the cancer, because I had to make it up in my mind that if I died, if this didn't work, I want to die because of my choices. And I don't want to die because the cancer killed me. And I knew if I starved myself, that cancer is going to die. It's gone. I'm going to get rid of this damn cancer somehow. I might not survive, but I'm going to at least be killing this cancer.
So what
But if
happened? You
I'm not
went
going
home?
to sit there and just let the cancer kill me and go down like that. There's no way.
So you went home, did the research, and that day you realized you got to starve the cancer, and you started the fasting right away? Like, is that what happened?
There's nobody that did what I did, and so nobody had the mentality that I had. So I had to mix it up a little bit, and holistically, I learned that fasting did incredible things to your body, and it really, really got your body. Because what happens is you're digesting food from the day you're born, and I'm 43 years old at the time, you know. So for 43 years, my stomach has been digesting food the whole time. But when you have no food to digest because you fast, what your body does is it goes into a cleanse mode. And I think that's because your body thinks it's not eating and it's scared that you're going to starve. So it puts itself in a position to be stronger and better to withstand survival until you can eat again, because it doesn't know if you're going to eat again or when you're going to eat again. And once they
Right.
prolong your life, so it starts taking away the dead cells. It starts cleaning out all the detoxing your body, cleaning out all the waste from your body, and basically just your body automatically after digestion goes into a cleansing phase, and making your body as healthy as possible to fight. To survive until you eat again, because what it's being told is you're not eating and there's a problem. This for 43 years you've been eating, something's
Yeah.
going on. So your body just naturally goes into the state of like just fixing itself and making itself so strong that it can last the longest amount of time before you die and starve to death, right? So I realized I need to get into that stage. The risk I took was, can I survive this chemo? And obviously I'd survive it, but I mean, if it starts affecting me too much because I'm too skinny and I can't stand it, they're going to stop the chemo. And if they stop the chemo after 1 week and it doesn't kill enough cancer, and then my body's all jacked up and I can't recover fast enough, then the cancer is going to start growing back again, and it's going to be too much cancer. Then the chemo is not going to be able to kill it fast enough with my recovery, and I'm going to ultimately die. So I had to really have faith in myself that I'm going to be able to withstand this chemo. And no matter, unless there's a reason, like my white blood cell count goes too low, or there's some medically, caused reason why I can't continue, I'm going to have to endure whatever pain and punishment that this chemo gives me, because I know it's going to be working. So the decision I made was to not eat and starve myself. And the picture, if you look at my Instagram right now, it's still getting crazy amounts of engagement on it. But I just posted an updated picture before and after when I checked into the hospital. When I came back on January 14th to do chemo, the doctor saw me, and I weighed 151 pounds from 200 pounds. Yeah, I was 100. You look on the left side, I was 151 pounds. And the doctor saw that and absolutely lost his mind. He was like, "We need to get you in chemo immediately." He thought the cancer did it. And I'm like, no, I fasted. And he's like, "Well, that's crazy. You can't fast. You got to have protein. You're going to chemo. You can't handle this chemo if you're not strong and you're weak. And you've lost 50 pounds in 2 weeks, trying to do whatever you think you're doing." And he was just losing his mind about this. And I'm like, well, this is my choice, and I can't change it now. And this is what I chose to do, and this is what I feel like is the smartest decision. And so I checked in at 151 pounds, and I stayed fasting all the way until my first day of chemo. And the first day of chemo, the first thing that hit my body after drinking nothing and taking nothing but water for 2 solid weeks was pure poison chemo. And I didn't have a single bite to eat the entire first day of chemo. So I was just, at that stage, I couldn't sleep. I was shaking. I was like, my body was weak. It was like the worst experience. That month was the worst experience, but that definitely was the worst experience in the beginning. And then that chemo just hit me and just blasted me out, because like it was the impact of that chemo coming into my starving body with no food and nothing in it, was rough, but I knew it was killing that cancer. I felt it killing the cancer. And within 8 days of being in the hospital, every single lymph node in my neck was gone. I had not a single symptom of cancer. It was I still had cancer, but I had no symptoms. My neck wasn't swollen out to here anymore. And I had no symptoms of cancer. And what I did was I starved that first day of chemo. Then the second day I went pure vegetarian for the first time in my life. I've never been a vegetarian. I hate vegetables. I'm not a fan of them, but I went pure vegetarian on my recovery day after the first day of chemo. Then the third day, which was chemo again, I starved myself the full day again. So every chemo day, I starved myself, so there was just pure poison going into my body and nothing else. And then I would eat vegetarian chemo for the whole first week. Then after the first week, I went into vegetarian diet for the whole rest of the month, every single day. I didn't starve myself anymore because I was literally, I lost 25% of my body weight, and I was having good results. So
But no sugar at this point, just vegetables.
I haven't had sugar since. I mean you're talking, the only sugar I've had since January of 2021 is one piece of cake on my birthday, and sugar that's in like bread. There might be like 1 gram or 2 grams or something. But as far as like a candy bar or like candy or a dessert, I have not touched sugar. And the reason is even since passing cancer, because like I've discovered and researched how bad sugar is for you. And that's something that I'll never have again for the rest of my life. I'll have natural sugars, fruits and stuff. I'll never put processed sugar in my body again, ever.
Wow.
And I'll never put red meat in my body.
Because I love sugar. I love chocolate after every meal. I got a ginger ale here and there. I got to really stop this stuff.
They have sugar-free chocolate. It's great. I mean, there's a lot. Stevia is your number one sugar substitute that has the lowest amount of sucrose and glucose in it. So stevia is one of your best alternatives.
I'll stick to organic fruit. I'll stick to organic fruit after this conversation. This has really inspired me. So to prevent cancer, let's finish off the story here. So my first question is though, 2 weeks or whatever of fasting, then you went right to chemo with how do you like, aren't you like supposed to eat? Like how does a person, isn't it like 7 days or something, like a person dies without food? I know you can't survive without water 3 days. Isn't it like a week and you just die? Like how did you survive 2 weeks with
No,
no food?
no, you can go a month without eating.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
you're gonna lose a hell of a lot of weight, and you're gonna be really weak. But you can go like up to a month without food, but you can only go like 3 days without water. So you have to drink a lot of water. But I knew you can go a long time without food. I didn't want to go a month because that's you're killing yourself at that stage, and then I got to go through chemo still, which is still harsh enough on its own for a healthy person that's eating full protein and has their full health. So me being like starving to death after 2 weeks of not eating a single carb, and single calorie, it is not a smart move. But I thought 2 weeks was good enough, and it took out, like I said, 25% of my body weight. I haven't been 151 pounds since I was in school. I was bigger than that in high school and junior high. So I was so skinny, and that's why you saw that picture. That picture wasn't cancer. That picture was me savagery, starving myself to death to try to get my life back, because I knew that I had, like the doctor said, well, the one thing I believed him when I saw it. And if you look at the podcast that I just posted, I went through the whole journey, and I put all the pictures and content of my whole journey and what I did, and break all this down, and you could just see all the black from the PET scan, all the cancer that was in my neck. So I believed him when he said, that you have to, this chemo has to kill this cancer. So I needed to make sure that it was as weak as possible, and I'd get the best results so that I could ultimately live and get my life back. And when it comes to fighting for my life, we're not talking about UFC victories anymore. We're talking about, I want to recover. And as you saw in the picture that you just posted,
Yeah.
when you beat cancer, you come back fully. I'm back fully strong, 205 pounds, strongest I've ever been in my whole life. So it's not like I'm coming back with like missing limbs, or like, like my brain's messed up, or I'm on, some having problems. If you beat cancer, you come back fully. You're 100% back, and even better than you were, because all the bad cells in your body that everybody accumulates over the years for 40 years, they're all gone now. And you have all brand new cells. So it's like your body operates at a level that it's never operated before that you can remember. So
Wow.
I'm seeing and hearing and tasting better, and operating better, and my mind's working better, and I'm crazy strong for like my than I was before cancer. Like, it's amazing. All my cells are just all brand new. They're all like, I reset myself. So
This is
it was a,
phenomenal.
it was
This
a
is
risky decision, and it was a decision I had to put my life behind, but it worked. And I'm happy that I did my research and I had that mindset, because I get these people that messaged me before I did this podcast, and they're just like, how did you beat cancer so fast? 4 stage leukemia, that's a death sentence. What did you do? Because, they want me to do chemo, and I don't want to do chemo. And I'm just like, look, do you want to live? Like, sometimes, you have to earn your place in life. And unfortunately for the situation of certain people like myself, you get dealt a bad hand. And are you going to let that hand put you out of this world and not be able to live? Or are you going to give it your all and fight, and then come back and still be able to do what I'm doing now, and have my life and my passions and my dreams and my work and all of my family, all the things that I care about, and live normal again? I'm going to fight, and you need to fight too. And that doesn't mean just do what everyone tells you, the doctors or holistic people. Do research, figure out who you are, figure out what you can take. Judge yourself, judge the people, judge the cases that you hear about of people that are actually human beings that tell their story and what they did and how it turned out, and then how that relates to you, versus these studies that you hear about that you don't have any idea who these people are. Medical companies are putting them out, pharmaceutical companies are putting them out, doctors are putting them out. Don't go by all that stuff, and don't go by the doctors, because the doctors are trying to get me to gain my weight back, and they were pushing like red meat into my office, or into my room. They were
right.
pushing like fruit juice that was like 30% fruit juice, 50% fruit juice. You know what the other percentage is? It's just sugar. And they were trying to feed me poison for cancer in my own hospital bed while I'm getting chemo. I didn't eat none of that shit. I mean, my girlfriend, she cooked every single meal for me, 100% vegetarian. And at that stage, I wasn't even eating salmon and chicken. Now I eat organic chicken. I eat ocean salmon, and then I eat vegetables. But At that time, I didn't even eat any meat at all. The whole first month, it was just pure vegetables.
So after the fasting, you did the fasting, then you did the chemo. So when did you know the cancer was gone? Then when was the test after all the how many months of chemo? Like how long did it take from December 29th to like I'm clear now?
Well, I mean, I didn't quite do what I should have done, and what I don't advise other people to do. But after that first month, I mean, I felt amazing, and I knew all the symptoms were gone. So I had no symptoms. I had no fever. My vitals were perfect. My blood pressure was perfect. My oxygen levels were perfect. Everything was perfect. My blood was good. I didn't have any symptoms after the first month. Now, did I think I beat cancer? No, I didn't think so. But could I still continue on my diet path and possibly get rid of it on my own holistically? There was a possibility of that, and I didn't see any reason to go back and get chemo when I had a healthy body and I had no symptoms, and I had already beat it at its worst once. Um, the one thing that's true is chemo will mess you up worse than anything. So you will have effects of chemo for the rest of your life every single time you do it. It'll do its job, and you need to do it, in my opinion. But the more you do it, it will have effects on your body that you will never be able to undo. It will kill parts of your body, and it will damage parts of your body that you will never be able to fix. And so I didn't want to continue to do as much as unless I had to. So after the first month of chemo, I was supposed to come back. I was supposed to wait 3 weeks and come back and do 1 week a month until I beat it, if I could, especially with these results that I had. Because by day 8, he was bringing in the same doctor that was freaking out that I was losing weight and not doing what he wanted, was bringing in other doctors to like look at me, and they were just shocked at like the results that I was having. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. Like, would you expect? I mean, you beat up cancer and starve it. It's gonna die faster than the cancer that's not beat up and starving. It's just common sense, It's already a broken cell. It's already weak. You don't have to do much to make it more weak. Um, and so after the first month, I felt great. Had no symptoms. 3 days later, I was free diving with Dan. Dan Bilzerian flew into town. Some of my friends flew into town, and we all started free diving. I was back in the ocean, free diving 10, 15, 20 meters down under the water, and doing free diving and back to just, my normal life. And I just decided to stay that way until I saw symptoms again, because I wanted to just keep eating healthy and be holistically, well, and then just not do chemo until I had to. And then it's not the right decision if you want to get rid of it, because it did come back. Of course, I started seeing swelling again a little bit, and I went back, killed it again, or got all the swelling down again a few months later.
Through
And then
chemo
again,
or fasting again? Did you fast again or just straight to chemo this time?
no. I kept, yeah, I did. I did a fast before every time.
Okay.
I didn't do 2 weeks. I just did like 3 days, but it was only very small swelling, very small amount. I just knew that, it was definitely probably cancer coming back, because the lymph nodes were swelling, and I've never had that before. So clearly I didn't kill it all the first time, which I expected was the case anyway. But I wasn't in a rush because I had already beat it at its worst. So I knew I could beat it if little amounts of it comes back. I can easily topple that, and I did. And then I waited another 2 months or so after the second time, and then I went back, and then the doctor was like, "Look, you can beat this thing, Yeah. And I'm like, I know. And he's like, we need to finish this off. You need to come every single time for the next 2 or 3 months, and let's just keep putting this chemo in there and kill everything. And then even if you have no symptoms, even if you have no swelling, even if you have nothing, we need to continue the chemo at least 2 more times after that to just kill every single broken cell, every potential cancer cell, so that it doesn't come back again, and then you can finally close this thing off." And so I did that, and I did, and then he didn't even have me do the last time because I was so healthy. And then he gave me a PET scan and declared that he couldn't find any cancer in my body. And so ever since then, I've been fine, and I'm still eating healthy. I'm still doing good. But I put this out. If you look at the websites of me, search my name, search cancer, you'll see the websites of when I got diagnosed, and you'll see the websites now since I've beaten it. But if you look at the very first websites, I came public. I had a choice to make, and it was a very tough choice, because I'm looking at potential death, at like a 4-stage leukemia, and it's a scary thing to put yourself out there, and I didn't want to jinx myself. I didn't want to like do anything that the people are gonna be like, oh, he said he's going to beat it and he died. But it's like at the same time, I had to set an example for people, and I had to show people the mindset that I was really in. And so the quote that I used was, it's still posted on my Twitter, it's still posted on my Instagram, it's still on a lot of the first news articles that came out. And I was like, look, guys, sometimes you get hit with a lemon, and sometimes you get hit by the whole lemon tree. And I got hit with a cancer punch. I got cancer, and I'm not going to hide it. I'm going to be public about this, and I'm going to let all you guys watch me beat this bullshit cancer's ass. And that was the mentality I had when I had 4-stage leukemia and was looking at a year to live. But that's a mentality I had to have, and I wanted to put it out there, which also made it more of a commitment. When you say things and when you put things out there, that makes it more stern of a commitment that you have to follow through with what you say. And I was already in that mindset already, but it felt good to tell people that, because I wanted to show them now that I'm a fighter and that I'm going to do exactly what I'm telling you. The odds don't look good right now. And I showed the scan of my neck and everything and told them about my diagnosis. But I wanted them to understand that, like, even though I'm diagnosed and I haven't beaten it yet, and I'm looking at a pretty bad sentence here, I want them to know that, like, you have to have this positive mentality. You have to believe you're going to beat it. You have to believe you're going to fight and get your life back. And I wanted them to see that. And the only way to do that, honestly, is to do it right from the beginning. I don't want to wait till I beat it and say, hey, guys, I knew I was going to beat it. I have to do it now before I beat it. I have to do it and show people that, like, they need to be in the right mindset, and they need to have this their mind program that they're going to get their lives back. And I said that, and then I did it. And so you look at the articles now that Mike Swick cancer, you'll see one that says, I'm going to beat this cancer. And then the next article is like an updated article. It's like Mike beats cancer. And so it's like really cool, like looking back now,
Amazing, yeah.
articles pop up, because it's like, I'm going to beat cancer. I beat cancer. Mike declares he beat cancer. Mike says he's going to beat cancer. But I did exactly what I said I was going to do. And that I think resonated with a lot of people. And I didn't change my life. You look at my Instagram throughout this entire journey, I'm free diving. I'm living my life. I'm going around. I've never stopped working. I'm improving my businesses. I'm doing everything that I didn't let it affect me any more than it had to. From those weeks in the hospital, I never stopped working in the hospital. And the second I got out, I had my probably about one full day of actually fully recovering at home. And then I was back on the boats again and back out doing my work, back at the gym, back training again. And then, as you saw in that picture that you just showed, less than 2 years after getting diagnosed, I got my shape back to where I wanted it to be, to where I could post that picture, the before and with the after shot, with my shirt off, and actually be proud of my figure and be proud of where I came back to and where I bounced back to. And so that was the first time. And it was a month before I assumed I was going to do it. I was planning to do it next month, 2 years after I got diagnosed. And I beat it. And that picture was taken like 2 days ago. And yeah, I got back where I wanted to be, and got my life back. So it can come back, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen, but I'm ready now. Now I'm experienced. Before I was inexperienced, and before I was risky, and I was having to trust myself, and I was having to hope for the best and hope I was making the right decisions. And I had short notice, and I had to get in there, and the doctors were pressuring me. Now I'm ready. So now I know. Now I know what to do. And if it comes back, I'm going to be waiting for it, and I'm going to give it the better of me, and the best
You're
of it ever.
amazing human being, man. What a story. I mean, I'm just inspired by this. I can't explain to you how inspired but to be honest, like, without your fighting career, because I know how tough fighting is. I know how weight cuts are. I've done it. It sucks. I'm craving a carb. If you didn't have your fighting career, answer honestly, like, if you didn't have the MMA career, if you weren't as mentally tough, do you believe that mentally you would have been able to beat this? Like, would you have been able to do the fast the same way? Or did you feel that the UFC, the fighting, primed you for this battle?
The It's hard to say, because the one thing I've had even before fighting was I was on a path to get where I wanted, and I was willing to do whatever it took to get there. So I've always been pedal to the metal. And if you see my fighting career, it didn't take my fighting career to turn me into who I was, as the most aggressive and savage kind of like fighter that I was. That was from the beginning of my fighting career. I've always been kind of pedal to the metal, and risky, and put myself through whatever it takes and endure whatever it takes. But I want it to be, and when I did the podcast, I wanted to make this clear. You don't have to be like me to be able to have this mentality and to be able to bring the savagery out. And my gym proves that, because these people that come to my gym are your everyday average person that has regular jobs, most of them. Um, and they pull their savagery out, and I see them fighting in these stadiums, and they're beating fighters from all these other gyms around here, and like, they're savage. You can pull it out. It's the same thing when a woman lifts a car to save her baby. You have something inside of you that you can pull out. You don't have to be me. You don't have to be programmed like me. You don't have to have the fighting experience like me. You can do it, but you have to do it sometimes. And don't fall short on yourself, because if you give up and you don't believe in yourself and you don't believe that you can do it, that's what's going to kill you. Most people that die of cancer give up. And I understand it. I'm not blaming them. I understand why they give up. If I wasn't young and healthy as I was, and as determined and just crazy psychotic as I was, everything I've done in my life has been impossible and crazy and not supposed to work. And this is what I thrive on. I look to do things different than everybody else. I'm not, society programs you to follow people and follow in the line and be like everybody else. I don't believe in that. If there's a herd of cattle here and they're all thinking they have to be here because everyone else is here, I want to be the one cow in the other field, because, like, if nothing else, they're all looking at me, like, I'm different.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like everybody else. I don't want to fall in the path of everybody else. Everything I do, I want to do different. I want to be different, because I want to do remarkable things, and I want to do special things, and I want to do things and carve my own path. And I can't do that by following other people. So if you look at AK Thailand, a lot of the stuff I've done has never been done before. There's never been a sports combat gym that's been built specifically not for fighters, but for everybody. It's never happened before. There's never been a sports combat gym built like mine, the way I built it, the way I structured it, the way I drew it out. Everything I've done has been different. And so I'm programmed different, and that didn't come from fighting, but the discipline that I learned from fighting and applying it gave me the experience to I guess do it when the time came to fight for my life, because I had experience already digging deep and putting myself on the line and risking going out on my shield and not caring, and going for it enough times that it wasn't as big of a step to push myself so hard for the cancer. But I truly feel anybody can do it. And I want people to understand this, because there's a lot of people out there that are insecure when they get these diagnoses, and they get scared and they feel like they can't do it. And they might see me and be like, I'm not like him. I haven't had the fights that he has. And he seems to be a little bit more crazy than your average person. What am I supposed to do? You can do the same thing. Just understand, you pushing yourself to the max puts you in control. Be in control of your life. Don't let other things be in control of your life. I don't let other people or other things be in control of my life. This is my world. I want to carve my path, live my life, be the boss of my world, and own it. I don't want to be told what to do. And I've spent half my life being told what to do from my parents, from school,
Right.
from my bosses. I've worked my ass off to get to a point now where I don't have bosses anymore. I don't have people that I owe money to or owe anything to, and I live the life that I want to live. But I had to earn that right. And when you get dealt the hand where you might be sick and you have to dig deep, do it. Trust me, do it. Because whatever pain you can put on yourself that you can handle, and do as much as you possibly can handle, you're in control. You're doing that to yourself. And that takes your mind. It has a miraculous ability to take your mind off getting beat by cancer, feeling sorry for yourself, and feeling like you're getting beat. If I was in the hospital and letting the cancer beat me up and letting the chemo beat me up, I'm losing the battle. I'm scared. I'm on the defense. But if I'm in the hospital shaking and hurting and in pain because I'm starving to death and I can't hardly sleep because I'm so hungry, I'm in control, because I'm doing that to myself. And I could stop that at any time, but I'm not, because I know as much suffering as I'm going through, that cancer inside my body is going through just the same amount of suffering. And the way to kind of compare that is, if I fall down, say off like a motorcycle, or I fall down off the stairs or whatever, I fall down in any way, and I
Right.
hurt myself. I hurt my elbow and I hurt my shoulder and I hurt my leg or something. It hurts. It's a pain. I'm going to complain about it. Maybe, I don't know, whatever. It's an annoying pain, and I hate it, because you hurt yourself. You had an accident. But if I go to the gym and I rip myself to shreds, just destroying the weights and
Right.
ripping every fiber in my body, and I come home and I can't even walk up the stairs, and I wake up in the morning, I can barely get out of bed because the fibers in my legs are so much in pain, and my arms are in so much pain. It's worse than when I had the accident, but it's good pain, and I
Right.
embrace that pain, and I'm not worried about that pain, because that pain is pain that's going to make me better. That's like paint, and when that paint dries, I'm going to be a beast. I'm going to be stronger than I was before. I'm going to be better than I was before, and I'm going to be more ready for that next level of training. So you got to look at it like that. And when you get through that pain from putting yourself through, when you're fasting and hurting your cancer, you're going to come out better, because you're going to kill that cancer faster, and you're going to get your life back, and you're going to beat all the doctor's odds, because no doctor that tells you how long you're going to live, when he's telling me I might have a year or whatever else, they don't take into consideration that you're going to blast yourself out and destroy your own cancer and fast. They don't take none of that into consideration, and that's a huge factor to take into consideration. So you automatically know whatever the doctor says, you're gonna double, as far as like you're gonna shorten that by
Right.
double, if not more, if you take that control and beat yourself up, because the doctors aren't used to patients doing that. Doctors are used to patients coming in and listening to the doctors and just being terrified,
Exactly.
and whatever the doctor says, they just do it. So the doctor's like, if you just do what I tell you, according to my history, this is what's going to happen. Doctors weren't ready for what I was going to do, because doctors didn't expect it, because nobody does it. And what I did saved my life, and it did it in a record amount of time.
That,
And it didn't change my life. And now I feel better, and I take less for granted. I live each day better. I'm on bonus time. I appreciate life. I appreciate everything more. I feel better than I ever have. I've got a better grip on my health, so I'm eating healthier than I ever have, to prevent more things from happening in the future. And my body's working better and operating better, because it's got all brand new cells again, like a baby. I'm like reborn again.
that's amazing.
So there's nothing wrong with pushing yourself to the max. And if you have to almost kill yourself to save your life, I'm telling you from experience, it's worth it. And if something happens, it comes back and kills me later, or something happens in the future that I can't control, always know I'm going to give it my best fight. And it's just out of my control if something happens wrong, but no regrets.
This is
Right now,
amazing.
I'm on bonus time, and I'm appreciating it. So no regrets of whatever happens from this day forward. And I will always fight to the end. And I truly don't believe I'll ever die of cancer. I might die of starvation. I might die of fighting, but I would much rather die from that than die from cancer, and let anything beat me.
I love the mindset. I really do. And I hopefully like this really reaches people, and I'll make sure that I'll do a bunch of different smaller videos on this so that it reaches more people, and chop it up and do reels. And I want to get this message to a lot of people, because I believe it's going to change a lot of people's mentality, because again, some people will just fold and listen and comply and do. I'm against the grain too. I'm definitely an outsider, not only in fantasy football. Everybody doesn't like me in fantasy football in the industry, because I speak the truth. I'm like, don't do this, don't copy and paste rankings. I'm very outside of the box thinking. I do that in every aspect of my life. So you and I speak the same language, and I'm just so happy that you fought it and you did the right thing, and you continued your fight while you're retired. You continued fighting, and I'm glad you're making an impact, and you've created a facility, and you're living your amazing life. Just a great story, man. I'm so happy you came on. And yeah, I didn't even expect it to be like this, as long as it went, and it was just better than I expected talking to you, man. It's been great, and I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I rattle on too much, but I'm super passionate about it, because I truly, I want this to be very clear. I am not giving medical advice, and I'm not telling people what to do.
Yeah.
I'm just giving a strategy that I think that you should all try and at least take into consideration, because it worked for me, and it saved my life, and I'm so happy, and I found success through it. So I rattle on because I feel like I can really make a difference, and I can really change people's lives and possibly save people's lives. So it's like, when you get me on this subject like this, I want to give all the information that I possibly can, because this is stuff that's, I feel bad for these people with cancer, and they don't have this information, and they don't have the right people like myself to put themselves through this kind of ordeal to get these kind of results to help them, and they're listening to these doctors tell them shit that half of it's not accurate. It's not what these doctors are making money. It's all
Yeah.
about money. These pharmaceutical companies are making money, and if you doubt that for a second, let me tell you, I have really good insurance, and when I went to the hospital for my cancer treatment, the machines, $1 million machines, and the doctors and all this stuff was 50% off, 40% off, 30% off, 60% off. But that Lunase, that chemo medicine that they injected me with, the insurance covered 10% of that. I had to pay 90% of that
Wow.
medicine. You think the pharmaceutical companies aren't making money, and you think they're not making money by keeping you in chemo? You're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. It's so evident. It's so obvious when you get in there. So do your research and understand that you're in control of your life, and don't let a doctor tell you what to do. You do what you feel like you have to do, and if you feel like what the doctor wants to do is correct, like my doctor was a very good cancer doctor, and he was a very good cancer mixer. He was very good at mixing the Lunase and mixing the chemo and getting the best results. So I allowed him to do his job there. But I also made sure that I did my job by weakening the cancer before he injected me with his poison. So just do the research and understand that when you have cancer, you're fighting an opponent, but you're fighting an opponent to get your life back. And how bad you want your life is going to determine whether you get your life back. And trust me, from where I am right now, there's nothing more beautiful than having your life back again. So all that pain, all that suffering, all that stuff that I went through, I don't think about it anymore. I don't think about it. It's gone. It's past. It's history. It was worth every bit of suffering that I did to get my life back. And like I said, I cherish every moment now, every day, and I appreciate everything a lot more. And I wish luck to everybody out there that's dealing with people with cancer and that has cancer. And also get checked, because there's a lot of people with cancer that don't know it. I would have never known if I didn't get that Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So when you get in your 40s, it would never hurt to get a blood test and see if there's anything wrong and check, because the sooner that you get it, you won't be in my position where you might have too much cancer already in your bone marrow and already in your blood and already in your body enough that it might be hard to beat, and you can have an easier fight.
Get a head start for sure. Well, Mike, man, it was amazing. Thank you for coming on. It means a lot, and hopefully, this made a difference in a lot of people's lives. And yeah, I like people letting them talk. It seems like you're very passionate, so that was awesome that you continued talking. And I just listened and absorbed a lot of this. It's better when I don't talk. I just absorb stuff, and this was one of those episodes, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I hate talking too much, but it's like if I can help people out, like you said, you're going to clip this out. So if I can shed knowledge and help people, and save their lives, like that's my purpose. That's what this interview is about. So I'm not going to hold back on anything that I can possibly help somebody with.
Thanks, guys. Drop any questions below, and make sure you guys go follow Mike. I'll leave the social media links below and everything. And yeah, we'll share it everywhere. I appreciate it, Mike. Thank you. Make sure you stay on for a second, when we're done. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
We appreciate it, Mike. Means a lot. Thank you. We're out.
No worries. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Go hard, go hard.